Me and Pac went in the studio and did a song together. And then them little dudes.
Outlaws.
Yeah.
Outlaws.
They came, like, as soon as we got there, they came up to Pac talking about, yo, Lauryn Hill dissed you, Mobb Deep.
Tupac, he really had an issue with Jay-Z. He really didn't like him then.
Not at all.
As much money as Jay-Z has, he still hasn't accomplished what Tupac accomplished before he was at 25 years old.
Big Daddy Kane just dropped a bomb about Jay-Z and Tupac that nobody saw coming. And trust me, the story we've all been fed, it's not even close to the whole truth. Everyone knows Kane was the one who gave Jay-Z his first real shot. He's the OG who opened doors for him, no questions asked. Back in the day, Jay was just another hungry rapper, tagging along with Kane, freestyling on stage and spitting bars in Kane's crew cypher while trying to get noticed. But as Jay-Z's fame skyrocketed, something shady happened. Kane's name slowly faded from the history books. And here's where it gets real juicy. Kane's recent comments tie right back to Tupac, because while Kane was busy putting Jay-Z on in the East, Pac was out West taking shots at the industry, exposing fake players, and yeah, throwing some serious shade at Jay-Z himself. So what's Kane really hinting at? Did Jay-Z take way more than just inspiration from Kane and Pac? Did he build his empire by stepping on their shoulders and never once looking back? Picture this, early 90s, Jay-Z's still just an unknown MC. Then Big Daddy Kane comes through like a mentor, taking Jay on tour during his legendary Chocolate City run. Kane would let Jay spit raw freestyles on stage while he switched outfits backstage. And it wasn't just a quick favor. Kane even helped shop Jay-Z's demo, recording tracks with him and personally sending them out to major labels to get him noticed. Kane wasn't just a plug, he was basically the guy helping Jay level up before the world even knew his name.
Yeah, I heard that no one really wanted to sign him when you was shopping him around the record labels. Is that true?
Yeah. This was, I want to say, I don't know, 90, 91 maybe. We was, Jay, we recorded some songs, probably about 4 or 5 songs on Jay-Z, and shopped them to several different record labels, and they all passed.
According to Kane, pushing Jay-Z to the labels back then was no easy sell. Execs just weren't feeling his style at all. They didn't see the vision, and one by one, the labels passed on him. But Kane never gave up on Jay. He believed Jay would grow into something special, and clearly, he was right. But here's where the story takes a messy turn. Kane's fingerprints are all over Jay's early flow. That rapid-fire, smooth but aggressive delivery, that was straight out of Kane's playbook. Yet when you look at Jay-Z's later interviews, documentaries, and public narratives, Kane's name barely comes up. Sure, in his memoir Decoded, Jay does toss in a quick line saying he learned about pacing and stage presence from Kane.
But actually having a record deal through a production deal with someone else and recording, and then the next thing you know, someone else on the label blew up.
But that's about it. No big shout-outs, no repeated homage, just a blink and you miss it nod. And Kane noticed that silence. Things got even spicier when rumors started swirling about a possible diss aimed at Kane. On Jay's track, Do It Again, Put Your Hands Up, he raps, "I've seen the same ish happen to Kane. 3 cuts in your eyebrows trying to wild out." Fans immediately clocked the reference. Kane was famous for those 3 eyebrow slits that became his trademark look in the late 80s and early 90s. Even though Jay never confirmed it was a shot, that line felt way too specific to be random. For some, it sounded like a sly jab at the very man who once gave Jay the keys to the game. By the late 90s, Big Daddy Kane's commercial shine had started to fade, and a new wave of younger rappers was taking over the spotlight. So when Jay, the same guy who once looked up to Kane and was mentored by him, dropped that cold, dismissive line on Do It Again, plenty of people took it as straight-up mockery. Even Angie Martinez reportedly chimed in on her show saying it sounded like a diss, and that only cranked the rumor mill into overdrive. Kane eventually brushed it off in public, but behind the scenes, the tension felt real. Jay himself has admitted he studied Kane's every move backstage. He watched how Kane commanded the crowd and built that superstar aura. But as Jay started shaping his own gangster hustler persona, Kane quietly stepped back, letting him carve out his own lane. Now, years later, Kane can't help but wonder if Jay intentionally pushed him out of the picture altogether, like he was erased on purpose. And Kane wasn't the only one dealing with this kind of shift. Around the same time Kane was fading to the background, Tupac was on the rise.
Hold up. Tupac is a lyricist. See what I'm saying? It's just that he's not one of those lyrical MCs that spit stuff, but his stuff is, he spit deep lyrics that touch your soul.
And Pac was already calling out these exact industry games, putting rappers and execs on blast without hesitation. Kane is now dropping hints that Pac saw the whole game changing right in front of him. The shift from rappers with pure, raw skill to a flashy new breed chasing image, money, and power. And one of the names creeping into that mix? Jay-Z. Back in the day, there were endless whispers that Jay felt seriously threatened by Tupac. Like deep down, he knew he couldn't match Pac's crazy charisma.
That if Pac was alive, it would have been a whole different story. And as much money as Jay-Z has, he still hasn't accomplished what Tupac accomplished before he was at 25 years old.
Jay had the bars, the clever wordplay, and the business mind. But Pac had that raw energy, that untouchable it factor that just couldn't be taught. Things eventually reached a boiling point. Jay and Pac actually had real beef before Pac's death, and it all sparked when Jay linked up with Biggie to send subliminal shots toward the West Coast. Jay and Big, both coming out of Bed-Stuy, started getting close in the early 90s, and by 96, they dropped Brooklyn's Finest, one of the standout tracks on Jay's debut album, Reasonable Doubt. But that collab, it lit a fuse that was already ready to blow. Irv Gotti, who was tight with Jay at the time, later revealed he warned Jay not to put Biggie on that record.
Gotta go back to Brooklyn's Finest. I was dead set against it. I was telling Jay, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And he was like, why? And I was just like, he's too strong. I said, but before we take over the world, we got to take over the West Coast. Before we take over the West Coast, we got to take over the East Coast. Before we take over the East Coast, we got to take over New York. Before we take over New York, you got to take over Brooklyn. And he owns all that. And I was like, this is not a whack. So I was just like, I was in fear that I was like, yo, you may come off like this little man. You understand?
The East Coast versus West Coast feud was already spiraling out of control, and Irv knew adding more heat could end bad for everyone. See, Pac and Biggie weren't always enemies. They actually started out cool, but everything went dark in '94 after Pac was shot 5 times during that infamous Quad Studios robbery. Pac became convinced that Biggie and Diddy knew something about the setup, but stayed quiet. To Pac, that silence was straight up betrayal, and it was something he never forgave. Biggie, for his part, kept denying he had anything to do with the Quad Studios setup. He always swore he didn't know a thing about it. But after that night, everything changed. Pac and Biggie's friendship was dead, and what followed was an all-out lyrical war for the world to see. Not long before Jay dropped Brooklyn's Finest, Biggie had already unleashed Who Shot Ya. Even though Biggie insisted the track wasn't about Pac, Pac and a whole lot of fans felt it had to be aimed at him. The tension between the coasts was reaching insane levels. Media, fans, and even other rappers were picking sides like it was a rap civil war. That's why Irv Gotti, who was close to Jay at the time, told him straight up, don't put that track out with Big right now. The timing is too dangerous. Irv saw what was coming, but Jay didn't listen. Jay went ahead and released Brooklyn's Finest anyway, and that move blew everything wide open. On the track, Biggie came through with bars that were way too direct to ignore. He threw jabs at Pac, even calling him his son, and hinted at those messy rumors about Pac and Faith Evans. Fans couldn't believe Big would actually put it out there like that, and it only added more fuel to the fire that was already burning. Pac wasn't about to let that slide. He went on the offensive and started taking shots at Jay himself on tracks like Bomb First, My Second Reply, and Fun Friends. People were hyped, waiting for Jay to finally fire back with a hardcore diss track of his own. Everyone expected Jay to respond and settle the score, but that track never came, leaving fans wondering if Jay backed down or just chose to play it safe. Just weeks later, Pac was tragically gunned down in that infamous Las Vegas drive-by, sending shockwaves through the entire hip-hop world. But here's the wild twist most people never knew. Jay-Z had actually written a response track to Pac before his death. The track, titled Scarvin', was said to be a vicious diss aimed directly at Pac. Word is, Jay decided not to release it while Pac was alive because he didn't want to add more fuel to an already deadly feud. But after Pac's death, things took an unexpected turn. According to DJ Clark Kent, Jay went ahead and performed Scathing live at the Apollo Theater, and the crowd couldn't believe what they were hearing. Clark Kent said the track was insanely disrespectful, with Jay coming for Pac in ways fans had never heard before. It was like Jay had been holding back for years and finally let all that pent-up frustration out on stage. But that begs the question, why perform it after Pac was already gone? For years, rumors have swirled that Jay secretly felt relieved when Pac died, believing Pac's larger-than-life presence would always overshadow him. Adding to the speculation, Diddy's former bodyguard Gene Deal even revealed a story that painted Jay as deeply intimidated by Pac. He claimed Jay was once so scared of running into Pac and his crew in Las Vegas that he refused to leave his hotel room for a show. To some people, that fear made Jay's decision to finally perform Scathing after Pac's death feel even more calculated. Like Jay only unleashed those bars once the coast was clear, plenty of fans have labeled Jay-Z as sneaky for never going head-to-head with Pac while Pac was alive. And honestly, that's where the controversy really heats up. The truth is, Jay and his East Coast circle were constantly dropping subliminal shots back in the day, trying to get under Pac's skin. They knew Pac was emotional and would always clap back, so those slick jabs felt intentional, like they were baiting him on purpose. People who were around during that era say Jay was seriously jealous of Pac's star power. No matter how sharp Jay's bars were, he knew he couldn't match Pac's raw charisma or that magnetic presence that pulled people in effortlessly. Pac just had something you couldn't fake. Even Nas added fuel to this narrative years later. In an interview, Nas revealed that Jay once told him straight up that he was a better rapper than both Biggie and Pac. Nas recalled to Vibe magazine, "We were kicking it, and he told me that he's better than Biggie. I looked at him like he was crazy. Then he really got crazy and said that Tupac and DMX were not lyricists." Nas fired back and told Jay he completely disagreed, that Pac was the greatest to ever do it, period. But fans say Jay's behavior goes beyond just cockiness. Many point to the way Jay stayed close with Diddy, even after all the dark rumors started linking Diddy to Pac's murder. And then, after Pac and Biggie were both gone, Diddy publicly hyped Jay up, calling him the one who filled their shoes. For critics, it just looked bad, like Jay slid right into the spot Pac and Biggie left behind while staying tight with the very people Pac had once called out. After Pac and Biggie were gone, Jay-Z's rise to the top of the rap game became unstoppable. But that success only fueled more rumors about how calculated his moves really were. Critics started pointing out that Jay seemed to thrive in the absence of the two legends who once overshadowed him. By the early 2000s, Jay had positioned himself as hip-hop's ultimate businessman, dropping the blueprint and stepping into mogul territory with Rockefeller Records. But behind the scenes, whispers kept growing louder. People claimed Jay intentionally distanced himself from anyone who could compete with his shine. Some even said he learned from what happened with Kane, Pac, and Biggie, never again giving too much power to anyone standing beside him. Fans also noticed how Jay never truly acknowledged just how much Kane, Pac, and even Biggie influenced his path. There were quick shout-outs here and there, but never the kind of deep respect many felt they deserved. It added to the image of Jay as cold, strategic, and willing to cut ties if it meant staying on top. What's more, industry insiders have said Jay built powerful alliances at the exact right time, staying cool with Diddy, getting close to major execs, and slowly gaining influence in every corner of hip-hop. After Pac and Big were gone, Diddy publicly praised Jay, saying he was the one carrying the torch for the culture. To some fans, that praise felt like Jay was officially crowned as the new king, but crowned by the very same circles Pac had once accused of shady dealings. Through all the wild rumors about Diddy over the years, Jay-Z stayed right by his side, loyal, unbothered, and unshaken. But fast forward to 2023, when that Cassie lawsuit rocked the industry and exposed Diddy like never before. Suddenly, Jay started acting like they were never even friends, like he just wiped the slate clean and pretended that decades of photos, collabs, and parties never happened. So, what's the real lesson here? Big Daddy Kane has been hinting at betrayal and disappointment for years, painting a picture of a young Jay who never really gave credit where it was due. Tupac had been warning everyone about the shady industry games long before his death. And looking back now, Jay's quiet, strategic moves behind the scenes start to feel a whole lot colder than people wanted to believe. The narrative that's been building? Jay-Z isn't just the self-made mogul he's always been praised as. He's also the guy who borrowed flows, took inspiration, and maybe even stepped over the very people who opened doors for him, Kane, Pac, and even Biggie, to secure his spot at the top. And as legendary as Jay is, more and more industry peers have been speaking out, calling his legacy a mix of brilliance, betrayal, and calculated power plays. But what do you think? Was Jay just playing the game smarter than everyone else? Or did he cross serious lines to get where he is today? Did he leave Kane in the dust after getting what he needed? Was he jealous of Pac in ways he never admitted? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know how you feel about all this. Don't forget to hit that like button, smash subscribe, and turn on the notifications so you don't miss the next deep dive. See you in the next one.